Story 1. I have some real blessings. My son was born 2 months ago. I love him so much, but I wish I had a better job and a better place for my family to live. Story 2. Hopeless most days. I'm supposed to celebrate 5 years of sobriety this July, and it's getting harder and harder each day. Being a woman in America right now is scary and dangerous, and no one is listening to us on how to fix it. I'm scared. I'm unhappy. I want to live a peaceful life, and I can't. Sucks, but I press on, I guess. Story 3. I'm old. How do you think I'm doing? Every major joint in my body, and some of the minor ones, hates me and has taken a blood oath against me. Story 4. Bad. My dog just died. I knew it would be hard, but this is quite a different feeling. I think because it's such a mix of feelings. Sadness, but also joy at the memory of all the happy moments we shared. Loneliness, but also so thankful for her companionship. It wouldn't be this terrible if she hadn't been that wonderful and worth it, so I guess it's a good thing I feel so goddamn bad. Story 5. I'm all right. I am married to the best man ever, have a very decent paying job, and a loving family. I have a lot of stress, but I focus on the positives every day, and I find my peace in that. Story 6. I am trying. I'm stressed and anxious about the state of the United States and the world. I just bought a new-to-me car, and it's already having major engine work done, thankfully under warranty. It's now been in the shop longer than I've actually had it, and I likely won't have it back for a couple more weeks. There's been a major downturn in business at work. As a result, I'm making less money, which makes me a little concerned about the stability of my job, of course, right after taking out a car loan. I haven't been able to sleep at all the last couple of nights, and I legitimately can't figure out why. I feel tired, can't get to sleep, can't stay asleep, and it's really been messing with me, especially today. Energy drinks have been my best friend. I picked up a 6-pack of my favorite beer and a frozen pizza on the way home from work. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to watch some movies or play some video games tonight. I know it won't actually solve any problems, but I just want to relax, chill out, maybe even sleep tonight. Anything to just distract me for a little bit. Story 7. I do not know, to be honest. Things in my personal life are going really well, but watching the fascist takeover is taking a toll. It is kind of a weird experience, especially because people I care about in my personal life are in very real danger if this trajectory continues. Story 8. I'm a little bored, but I'm also too cold to get up out of bed and do the things I want to do. Instead, I'm just refreshing Reddit and answering any question that speaks to me. Story 9. Constantly fussing about problems I have no idea how to solve and expecting a stab in the back from a friend. I realize more and more is literally unhinged. Story 10. Not great. In my mid-30s and have to end a relationship this weekend that I really thought was going to go somewhere real. It was the little sliver of joy I had going on through the rest of the storm. Thanks for asking. How are you? Story 11. I found out this week my dog, the only good thing in my life, the only living being who I can count on to be there when I need it, has cancer, and if I'm lucky, I'll get half a year with him. So, doing pretty darn badly. Story 12. Can eat, can't sleep, feel like I'm dying. Lost 45 pounds in the past few weeks. All the colors are dull around me. Still have hope, but I feel like a ghoul. Story 13. Not good. I've been grieving the sudden loss of my sister for a year, got injured at work and lost my job. And now, unless my settlement check comes through or if I can find a job that doesn't aggravate my injury, I might lose my farm. Story 14. Tired, sad, lonely, bored. Counting down the hours until my boyfriend is home from work. Trying to stay productive and get things done, but also have leisure time today. Story 15. Pretty bad, actually. But I'm masking it as best I can. Work in my industry has pretty much dried up, and I feel like I'm too old to go back to trade school and become an apprentice. We might have to sell our house and move away, as house prices here have exceeded what we could sell ours for. I haven't slept properly in months. Story 16. Numb. Every day is the same. Life is just kind of meh right now. I socialize and stuff, but I just don't feel like it most of the time. I feel like I just force myself to go to events or bars with friends because I don't want to reject them often. But honestly, I don't feel like doing much most of the time. I'm happy staying inside watching YouTube or Netflix. Besides, I'm busy with school, so I spend most of my time on that. Story 17, bad, really bad. Not extremely bad just yet, but still bad. I suffer from Tourette's, motor tics, seasonal depression, cocaine addiction, bulimia, and potentially undiagnosed attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or autism. I quit my job 2 weeks ago out of necessity because I couldn't physically keep forcing myself to work there any longer, as it triggered my panic attacks and tic attacks. My bank balance has been in the negative figures for probably 4 to 5 years now. It's been almost 2 years since my last relationship. I have severe commitment, insecurity, and intimacy issues, and I live back home with my parents again at 28. Life is difficult. Story 18. Tired, lost, and seeing only mediocrity in my future after all the foolish things I did. The 13 years of gambling addiction and being used by bad crowds got me to this point. Story 19. Just doing my silly little hobby, preparing for my first festival, trying to have something to look forward to forget the impending dread I feel for the next 4 years. Story 20. Struggling. Just in general. Too much on my plate. Not getting the things I need. Not where I want to be. The whole bit. At a point where I just want to sleep and get away from reality. Story 21. Stressed and exhausted from overworking between 2 jobs, and somehow, despite everything else being low, my arousal level remains as high as ever. Guess there is one part of my will that just won't break. Story 22. I have fun goals in the medium-term future, such as community theater activities and social events planned for the next few weekends. I've been a little down with the general winter blues, and I'll probably find reasons to be less positive in the future, but I'm not worried. There's still lots of good things coming up. Story 23. Feeling a bit hopeless and sad, worried about my mental health. Trying but getting the right support, like a therapist that actually fits, a doctor that doesn't treat you weirdly, and encouraging people is difficult. I'm very pro-taxes, but sometimes I feel a bit frustrated that politicians don't make sure that is in their top 3 priorities to finance. Story 24. There are things I should be doing, but I don't know how to do them exactly and don't have the motivation to figure it out. I'm in a state of feeling nothing or empty. I'm not sure which is more accurate. A dread slowly seeps into my mind as the world around me deteriorates. In my mind, there's no longer direction in life, at least none that seems like a good life. I'm not suicidal or anything, but I've recently come to grips with the fact that I'm so numb and probably depressed. Maybe I'm overthinking. I'm only 20 after all. I hope others are faring better. Story 25. I cannot feel anything anymore. Any sense of happiness seems like a distraction from a bigger sadness. I do not save for the future. I cannot have children. My conservative parents will never approve of me. And I constantly feel broken beyond repair despite all the pills doctors prescribe to me. Life is such a constant struggle, and I am tired. Story 26. Good most days, really struggle other days. Stuck in the loving, being a strong, independent woman in her 30s while also feeling so alone sometimes. It gets exhausting having to get through tough days on your own. And lately, life has just been extra hard. Story 27. Pretty tired, fed up with dating and how repetitive that's getting, and had a really stressful week with work, which has got me feeling run down, but more so physically than emotionally. I know that I'll be okay at least. Compared to this time last year, I'm in a ridiculously more positive place. Story 28. Horrific. I was literally good enough to make the president's list with a 4.0 grade point average at my college last semester, but anatomy is so difficult and the pace is so fast. We had a quiz yesterday on our second day of class, and I spend most of my time crying while studying. I feel so dumb. Story 29. Absolutely terrible with no real desire to live. I don't want to be around anyone. I don't want people to talk to me. I just want to sit in silence until it's finally over. And I despise when the only suggestion is to see a doctor or go on medication because sometimes, believe it or not, it's nothing chemical. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with me. I've just been dealt enough hands to understand the deck I'm playing with. Story 30. Having depressive episodes. Looking for someone so I'm not so lonely. Everyone has abandoned me. I wish I had a better job. No one has replied. I wish I could watch a movie or anime with someone or play a game with someone. Maybe I just want friends. Story 31. I'm stressed and angry. Trying to focus on my anniversary coming up, my vacation, and planning a move. But the second I stop working, I get emotionally burnt out. Story 32. Endlessly tired. Trying my best to do a bit of tidying when I can. Trying to get a bit of writing done when I can. Wishing I remembered what happiness felt like, instead of the fleeting bits of amusement I get from fictional works. Grateful for fictional works like books, movies, and games. Generally feeling worse and worse about the state of the world and wondering if suicide would actually be an overreaction at this point. Story 33. Concerned. Concerned my job or the economy will change and my life will get harder. Concerned for the same for my family. Concerned I will never find a wife who I feel is my soulmate. Concerned that I will get some sort of cancer from military service and just family genetics. Concerned that even though I'm praised for my work, I don't feel like I'm growing and learning new skills. Concerned that my sister's ex-husband will beat her up again, and then I'll end up going to jail for correcting his behavior. Concerned that my parents are in their mid-70s and I don't know how I will handle their passing. Story 34. I think I spent too long pushing it back because now that I need to figure something out, when I open that box it's all just fire. I'm thinking about stepping out of an almost 10-year relationship, but also considering seeing what the underside of lake ice looks like. Story 35. Exhausted. Lonely as a stay-at-home mom and tired of not getting to shower until absolutely everything for my baby is done first. I went from glamour to Adam Sandler in this last year and feel like a stranger in my body. But I am a damn good mom. I'm just lost and tired. Story 36. I feel guilty because my life is good by any reasonable measure, but I feel like I'm on the verge of depression. My life has been great. Loving parents in a functional middle-class household as a kid. Big, beautiful house in a nice neighborhood as an adult. Long, successful career in technology. I'll never realistically have to worry about food on my plate or a roof over my head. Still in decent shape with only minor physical ailments at age 50. My wife is still very attractive at the same age. Which brings us to menopause. My wife and I were both high libido people before she hit about 37. Then her libido fell off a cliff. She got it back for a while thanks to hormone replacement therapy, but had a bad reaction and stopped the therapy. She's had almost no interest in intimacy since. It feels super shallow to say that something as trivial as a lack of intimacy is making me sad. But it is. More than that, though, is the thought that, at our age, it's only going to get worse. Story 37. I've had to work through an upper respiratory infection this week. I've been working towards my time requirements in a New York coal-fueled fugue state. I'm intensely worried about my quality scores. Story 38. I'm 58, and no one cares about my demographic opinion anymore. Commercials aimed at me are for older people, which is amusing. All my favorite bands are either gone, broken up for years, or have some odd version of themselves playing on the casino circuit. I dislike today's pop culture, but still pay attention just to understand what people might be discussing around the water cooler. I didn't grow up to be an astronomer, as I thought I would when I was in 5th grade. Overall, from the outside, I look like I'm doing well. I have a great wife and marriage, a house, pets, and manageable debt. I play in a band. Not great, but it's fun, and have a solid job in information technology. But I'm just tired inside. 40 years in the workplace, and I yearn for something else. The problem is I don't have any particular set of skills that compare to what I already do, and I'm tired of being in information technology. I'm just burnt out. But I keep rolling along because I like to have money for housing, food, life, and my wife, which is amusing. I'm sure there are many of us out there. Story 39. Mentally exhausted and confused about how I got wrapped up in nonsense I tried to stay out of at work. But I came home and listened to a record I bought today and had a friend come over before going to bed soon to color with glitter crayons and watch Fievel Goes West. Story 40. Been dealing with depression and anxiety for almost a year. This week was a really terrible week. My performance got called out today by my boss. Worst of all, I'm mentally exhausted and drained. I don't have the mental energy no matter how hard I try. I'm done, man. Thankfully, I have my teenage boys who helped me get out of my own head. Story 41. Lonely. No one to have deep or meaningful conversations with about interests or hobbies. The best conversation I've had in 5 years is with myself and probably my mother a few times. Having no real outlet as a guy is really hard at times. Everyone always says I'm so quiet. Yes, because I can't talk about useless things like celebrities that don't interest me, so I shut my mouth and say, wow, oh. Story 42. Pretty freaking good. A few years ago, I realized I probably wouldn't achieve my dream career because of the cost of certification and having to provide for my family. So instead, I changed careers and did some study to get as close as possible to what I wanted. A few months ago, a pathway opened up targeted at people with some experience as a vocational entry. Out of the few thousand people that applied, my prior experience got me into one of the 90 positions available, and I'm now on my way and loving every minute of it. Story 43. Disassociating and procrastinating to cope. There's light at the end of the tunnel, but it's a relatively long tunnel. Just have to wait things out, trying to figure out how I'm going to stay afloat until everything settles. The main thing I keep telling myself is there is a light,